All right, what's up, everybody? This is Shane from Ferocious Fatherhood. Here we're kicking off our 30 for 30 campaign. I got one of my bros here, Jason. Jason, man, welcome to the show. I'm super excited that you're here. I love having you. Love talking to you. It's been forever since we talked, man.
It's been way too long, dude.
It's been way too long, way too long. Well, so what we're doing here is we're just doing a real quick conversation, kind of your background, kind of how you were raised and how you implement certain things with your kids. So go ahead, take a minute, introduce yourself, tell folks who you are, man.
So my name is Jason, a former member of 1st Ranger Battalion and current Special Operations EOD Tech. I've been in the Army for about 8 years. I've been a father for 3, and it's really changed the perspective on that relationship. And that's kind of why we're here today.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Give me like a general background of kind of how you grew up. What was your childhood like? Was your father in your life? You already said you got some kids, so kind of what ages? And yeah, well, then we'll dive into this, man.
So I grew up in a single parent household. My mother raised me. My parents were divorced at a really young age. It was a super ugly, messy divorce. And I was a latchkey kid. I came home from school and the classic, like, MTV raised me. The fact that I'm not a criminal is probably a miracle, but I had, my mom's not the greatest parent, and former stepdad, probably even worse, definitely even worse. But when I turned 18 is when I really turned the corner with my dad. And that's, I don't really know who raised me. I guess that's the easy way of saying it. Because I was busy raising my 2 younger brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's tough. That's tough kind of growing up without a dad. I didn't realize that, like, it sounds like he wasn't in your life until you turned 18. What kind of made that switch?
No, he was in my life, in and out. But there was a lot of disinformation from my mom's side about who my dad was as a person, that I never knew any better until my senior year in high school. I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, like in and out, on the brink of death. And, my dad never left. And then in the aftermath of that, like looking back, like once I'd recovered and I'd woken up, my mom was only there a couple of times, like in the hospital with me. And like literally the only reason my dad left was after they're like, hey, we just have to hold him until tomorrow. Like our billing people aren't here. Like, we can't discharge you without charging you the insane amount of money that it costs to save your son's life. And it was in the aftermath of that I started questioning, the information that I was given, that I'd been fed for a long time. So to say that he wasn't in my life until I was 18 isn't accurate, but it's accurate enough for the conversation. Because, like, I would spend summers with him, or like a couple of weeks in the summer here and there, and he would come to my hockey games and all that, but there was not a true relationship like there is now.
Mm-hmm. Man, well, that's rough. It's kind of rough kind of growing up with that. So with him kind of being in and out of your life, and you already kind of talked about your stepfather, were there any major lessons that you learned from either of them?
So we'll start with the stepdad. Basically what not to do. That's the easiest thing. Like, don't beat your wife. Don't show up to your kids' games, high. Don't be a raging alcoholic. Like, the big, just the simple things in life. But yeah, he was just such a bad example that there was literally nothing to take away from that other than just don't be that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's, kind of being in the military, you see that all the time with leaders. So that in and of itself is a huge lesson of what you shouldn't do. And that's almost as important as what you should do, in my opinion. So was there any lessons that you kind of took away from your father?
Not until I got older and became a father myself. Like me and my dad have since mended. I say mended the relationship, really just built it into something that, you know, is truly awesome. Like I call him and we'll chat for an hour, hour and a half. Like basically whatever plan me and the wife had is done if I call my dad. But essentially it's perseverance and patience, because through, you know, all of the standard teenage, like, you know, I want to be my own person, like I hate you dad, like all of that like angst, and then through the disinformation, there was never once that he didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
There's never one time that he was too busy for whatever the event. Like he drove, you know, across the state to see me play hockey, and you know, my parents were supposed to meet halfway to do like the weekend drop-offs, and when my mom just refused to do that, he drove the entire way. And regardless of, you know, the attitude that I had as an angsty teenager who thought he was too cool and didn't want to go and hang out with his stepmom and step parent or step siblings, he was there. And there was never, it was a no fail thing for him. And just it was more the patience, right? Because he never knew if that was ever going to pay off.
Yeah, man, those are some really good points. I was talking with my dad, I guess last weekend, and man, we were just talking about how important it was to me when I was playing soccer, just to be able to look up on the sidelines, like I know he's there, I know he's right there, I can hear him, he's cheering for us, and how like important that is. So especially with you with hockey, I mean, how much did that build y'all's relationship?
I didn't. I was too entranced in the disinformation, and you know, quite frankly, the lie that I had been fed my entire life about, you know, what he did and the choices that he made that led, you know, the family to split. And he went and started his own family, and my mom started her family. And yeah, I'd been lied to, and I believed it pretty much up until my senior year in high school. And so like going back to those long drives where he would come all the way to my mom's house, like we had some very uncomfortable conversations. Like me being angsty and wanting a fight, I would ask him hard questions, and he would just calmly tell the story as it was. And like the patience to explain these really hard, or answer these really hard questions coming from an angry, you know, 16, 17-year-old. I guess it was before I was 16, because I just started driving over when I had my license. So it was before then, but that information just didn't line up with everything that I'd been told. And then the events my senior year that really was what truly made me question all of that. And then, you know, my mom kicking me out of the house because I confronted her on a lot of the issues that she has. I ended up living with him, and was like, okay, something my entire life has been off. Like, and that's when I realized, and kind of the veil was lifted. And I was like, okay, this is not somebody that I want to not be in my life anymore.
Yeah, that's really important. Those talks, they can really break down some barriers. No matter, I mean, there's definitely some hard questions that get asked. I mean, I still ask my dad some hard questions, man. But the barriers that get broken down, and the trust that, you know, gets compiled into that is so much more important. So then, with that patience and perseverance, how do you incorporate that with your son?
So I'm gone a lot with my current job, and my wife is definitely the disciplinarian in our household. And when I come home, instead of jumping straight to the easy fix, the easy discipline, I take the time to like try to figure out why he's doing what he's doing. And like, all right, bud, let's talk about this. Let's just go sit. We'll go upstairs, and we have a recliner upstairs, and I'll sit him on my lap and be like, hey, we're just going to sit here. And We don't like, we don't play. I don't coax him to say anything. After, 5 to 10 minutes, I'll just be like, all right, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really nothing big yet. It's these little victories where he's acting a fool and doesn't want to do whatever we want him to. And just take him upstairs. Just be like, let's sit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient instead of jumping to the easy fix of, swatting his butt or yelling or getting mad and forcing him to do it. We can just wait 10 minutes and he'll do it.
Mm-hmm. I always try to like distract my son. So I'm like, right now he's 4 years old. So he's hitting he hit the terrible threes a little late. And, so he's starting to like really push back. And one of the most beneficial ways I've found is I'll just sit there and like, hey, it's okay if you're upset. I understand. Come on, let's go outside. Let's do something that gets you out of this house, out of this mindset. I mean, we'll just like go outside and I'll just start like pointing out like, oh, look, there's a bird over there. Oh, look, there's some deer there. Down there's a little foxborough. And yeah, that's where that patience really comes into play. And that's something that I also learned when I came back from my deployment was I found that like, I mean, my wife was the exact same way. She held the line. So when I came, I couldn't just jump back in. I also had to have patience with her to kind of build that trust up with her and allow me to kind of take over those things that she just had to hold together the whole time I was gone. Do you guys experience that?
No, my trips are short enough that doesn't really like it's that happens where she has to truly take over both roles. Mm-hmm. Like they've essentially just gotten into a rhythm by the time I get home. But yeah, it's basically my trips are short enough that doesn't really play too much of a factor.
Yeah, that's awesome because that can take some time. I mean, I was gone for 6 months, so I want to say maybe 6 weeks it took and then by the time I came back, I started, after the 6 weeks, you go back to work, your daily work, and you kind of have to get back into it where the stay-at-home mom kind of does that all over again type of deal.
I also know who's in charge, so I just come home and just, what do you need me to do? And I get told. I keep it easy.
Yeah. Dude, those special operations moms, man. They'll lay you straight.
For real. For real.
So then, so you talked about the patience and perseverance, but are there any other kind of hard issues that you face or any other problems that you run into as a father?
No, like we really lucked out. He's super easy for the most part. He tells us what he wants and we listen. And I think that's an overlooked form of communication with kids is they'll tell you exactly what they want. They may not be communicating it well, but they're telling you what they want. And if you listen, it's not caving to their demands, it's listening to what they're asking for. And instead of making an issue and out of it, just like essentially keep the peace. And that's probably not the right way to put it, because caving is never the answer, but communicating is.
Well, you brought that up. Something that I was thinking about the other day is I hate the saying like pick your battles type of deal, but you really have to reserve that mental space of, okay, because I mean, your mental, your ability to stay calm and patient, it is limited and you have to continue to work on it. Otherwise, I mean, your entire day is just lost. So that's a really good point that you have of bringing that up. I mean, like what you're talking earlier, the patience and perseverance, that's huge. That's definitely something that I've learned has been one of the biggest things. I'm not necessarily picking my flights. I'm just reserving my mental space for the important tasks, for the really important things.
Yeah. And going back to what I said about just being able to take him upstairs and just give him a minute, like now, if he's being difficult, we can just be like, hey man, do you need a minute? And he'll say yes. Like he'll go and put himself upstairs and be like, I just need a minute. And be like, yeah, you've been at school where like you're forced to behave. You have to like color in the lines all day, not actually coloring, but behaving. And the expectations are so high, and he's finally home, and he's finally in a safe place, and he finally lets loose, and it's all the frustration. It's just like when we come home from a work day, right? We have like we can't mouth off to our boss. We have to be polite to our coworkers that we hate, and we get home and we just want to do us. And he gets home from, quote unquote work, and he has these two large adults that seem to be doing whatever it is they want, telling him what to do again. But we're his parents. He feels safe enough to act out, and being able to address that and calm the situation down and pick the battles, right? Like when we get home from work, what do we want to do? We want to watch TV. We want to hang out and do nothing. Like he's no different, man. He's a little human being.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, you're spot on. After a long day, he doesn't want to, listen either. I mean, I totally get that. So then so you talked about kind of like coming home and not just sitting down and watching TV. So what are some ways that you stay actively engaged with your son? Or like when you come home from like a trip, what are ways to kind of hop right back into it?
So he loves to bike. He's got some of like the outdoor toys. We live in a golf community, so I take him out to the driving range, and we hit balls. I hit balls poorly, and he just tries to walk out in front of the other golfers, which it's an infuriating task, but it's something that just gets us outside, like guy time, away from the house. And then he loves anything that flies, and my wife about killed me last Christmas when I got him a DJI drone, and so we'll just fly that in the backyard.
Nice,
because we live out over a green, and so we'll like buzz the golfers or go buzz the geese.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We just hang out. That's really it.
I found I was talking to one of my buddies the other day, and we were basically saying like it's the little things that you need. You don't need to go out and buy them a pony. That's not how you reconnect. You do those little things every day. You're sitting at the table, sitting there talking, going outside. One of the big things I do with Jeremiah is I have him come with me to the gym, and we go to the gym. I don't use the family room, so that way he's not sitting there watching TV. He's sitting there. He's helping me put weights on. He grabs a little 5-pound, and he sits there. He deadlifts it. He does snatches with it, all that stuff. So that's something that I really do.
That's another thing. He's a little small, but he'll come out towards the end of my workouts to our garage gym, and I have a little bar that he'll sit there and bench. But yeah, it's as simple as hanging out, like spending the time, being the one to take him to school and to pick him up from school.
Yeah, I really agree. And you were talking about like the home gym. I got one too. And what I'll do with that is I have a little corner that's his corner. It's where he works out. And then when we're done, it's what he cleans up. And he loves that. He loves that ownership. And that really gets him and I connecting, because
that's like, really cool.
Hey, look what I did. It's like, yeah, buddy. I mean, it's awesome. It might not be, neat, but if he takes it and he intentionally organizes it, I let him have it. Like, cool. That's awesome. That's what you want to do. Cool. Now we got to sweep it out. Let's go. And we hop right into it. I try to do as much of the daily stuff with him as I can.
Yeah. I think, man, like so the questions that, like, the reason I was so insistent that you send me questions ahead of time is I'm a huge wave tops guy. And I keep things as simple as possible. Like, how do you connect with your kid? I don't know. How do you connect with your bros? You hang out. Like, what do you do? You just be normal. Like, it doesn't need to be extravagant. It's just guy time.
Those are things that people need to hear. That's why, I know that you're like that. I know you're pretty straightforward. You're very, nuts and bolts, Barney simple answers. I love that. Man, we need to get more of these guys hearing that are in the wrong mindset of like, oh yeah, I need to take them to Disney. No, you don't. spend time with him daily. Have dinner with him. Teach him how to cook a
Yeah.
steak. There you go.
Dude, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. One of his most favorite things is when I get home, I'll pick him up from school. The wife will be out doing whatever it is that she's doing. And we'll go to our clubhouse and he'll get an apple juice and I'll get a beer and we'll just hang out.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no tables. So we're sitting at the high tops that we're not supposed to be sitting at. And it's simple, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like people try to overcomplicate it and, market parenthood and fatherhood is something that it doesn't need to be. You just need to be there.
Yep. I really agree. And you talking about the bar. So what I'll do with Jeremiah is like, we'll be outside and like, hey buddy, can you go get me a beer? Yeah, daddy, here I go. And he runs, he grabs me a beer. Like, okay, cool. Now go get your secret drink. And he goes, he picks out his little secret apple juice, brings it out. And while I'm having my beer, he has his little drink. It's really funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. It's just a little different when you do it in a bar.
Oh yeah. Definitely way different.
Dude, so we'll sit, sometimes we'll sit at the bar and it's a super small community and we know all like the waitresses and bartenders and he's just, can I have an orange? Can I have a lime? And he'll just be sitting there like ordering fruit.
That's awesome. Cool, man. So I've hit the main points, but look, I want one last piece of advice. Anything we haven't covered yet that you think that fathers out there need to know?
Just keep it simple, man. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant. It's just putting in the time and staying patient and keeping the relationship intact, right? Because there's going to be a time where me and my son don't see eye to eye. But if you've built the level of trust to where they're able to come to you and talk about their problems, it will pay dividends when they get to that stage in life.
Yeah, it absolutely will.
I basically just look at my childhood and like, I'm not a super introspective person, but when I look at my childhood, like what are the things that I didn't like about that? I didn't like it that my dad wasn't there. I didn't like it that I didn't have anybody to bounce my problems off of. And just do the opposite. Like,
yeah, man, you're dead on there, man. I mean, learn from your past, learn what doesn't work, and then adjust. Improvise, adapt, overcome type of deal, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, Jason, brother, it's always good talking to you, man. It's been way too long, though. I do have to say that.
Yeah, it definitely has. We'll have to get together again, or at least at least talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Get talking more regularly, and then get out to go visit home once or twice.
I was actually there the other week.
Yeah. Still the same old town.
Got some pie, dude. Got some pie. Hung out at the lake. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have to get back up there. I keep telling Brittany that I want to get up there and get home. Go visit everyone.
Are your parents
up there.
Still there? Are your parents still there?
Nah, man.
I didn't think so.
Nope.
I almost went and knocked on their door. That would have been real awkward.
I'm sure you could have handled it. Dude, go do it next time. See, I should have told you that they were still there, and you'd be over there knocking on their door, man.
Yeah, but this pie's for you. We're here for you.
Yeah, right. Who are you? Okay, go away. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Cool, brother. Well, hey, thanks for being on here, man. I always appreciate it, dude.
Of course, dude.
All right, man. Say hey to the family real quick, all right?
I will. I'll be talking to you.
All right, later.